car. Yeah, so I can't for the life of me figure out why they moved it over here. This is a dump of an area. They tried to beautify it and tried to turn all of this industrial rubbish into something sort of at least tidy and scenic, but it's still contaminated ground and it's a mess. But yeah, in Melbourne, you get off the ferry at Station Pier and you drive down to Beaconsfield. You drive down Beaconsfield Parade and it's, you know, multi-million dollar houses, and you know, you've got a lovely beach, and you know, you're straight into the heart of Melbourne. Whereas it's an hour and a half the other side of town for me. Over in that direction.
She's on.
Awesome. What a job. I'll just go.
Yeah. Don't think we'll bother about straps. She's not going to go anywhere. I reckon that trailer will hit the... It did too.
I think it's out of fuel. So it turns out I'm pretty certain it's out of fuel because it did start, and while I was warming it up, and then it stopped, and then it just wouldn't start again. So I'm pretty certain it's out of fuel. And I also, ran the battery down a little bit too far, or further than I wanted to. So I'll just give it a little bit of charge. Oh God, we've got fucking rain, more rain, constant. Unbelievable. Godzilla the unicorn. Hello, Snoodles.
Well, hello and welcome to the XA Coupe restoration video number 1. What can I say? Since I was 17, I've wanted one of these. I'm 58. It's not quite the condition I sort of dreamed of having it in, but yeah, we can fix that. So it's been a bit of a battle, even just getting it home. I purchased it about a month ago over in Tassie from a guy, and nice young guy, and it looks like he's used his money on his house, so which is, you know, admirable. So I went over there knowing that it wasn't really drivable. It was, you know, it was sort of indicated that you could possibly drive it, but you know, it's not good enough to drive onto the boat because it really didn't have any brakes. It's Tuesday the 15th of November 2022. Now, I went over there probably around about the same time last month, yeah, about 4 weeks ago, and paid for it. And actually, firstly, Stu and Amanda, they sort of follow the page on the Fairlane, and they live in Launceston. So I flew over there, and Stuart picked me up from the airport, Macca's, which was really good, and we shot out about 20 minutes out of Launceston to pay for the car and collect it. Stuart had borrowed a ute, and he'd hired a trailer, and so we shot out. We paid for it, picked it up, and took it back to Stu's place. And so we sort of thought, might not be able to drive it on to the ferry. I was sort of hoping I could, but yeah, no, we didn't have any brakes. So it turns out that the ferry was actually cancelled because of flooding. So I had to fly home, and I'd already booked and paid to take the car on from Devonport to Melbourne, thinking that I could drive it on and drive it off at least, and then organise transport or drive it home. That was my thinking, but you know, miles from reality. So so we locked her up at Stu's place, and I flew back to Melbourne, and then in the meantime, Stuart had been sort of working on getting those brakes going, and he had a bit of a fluff around, but he realised the master cylinder was dead. So I had a master cylinder here. So a couple of weeks after that, I flew over to Tassie. He picked me up again. I took a master cylinder over, and we tried to. This weather's been terrible. I mean, it's raining now, but so it was pouring down. We had about 4 or 5 hours to get some brakes, so I could drive it onto the boat. I had a car transporter organised at Geelong to pick me up, but it was pouring with rain at Stu's place, and so we fitted the new master cylinder, put a new top and bottom hose on, radiator hoses, and a new battery, and so we set about trying to give it some brakes. Now, in the 2 weeks prior to me flying over for the second time, Stu had got the pistons freed up inside the front calipers, and geez, he did an amazing job. That's big hours, you know, just to take the calipers off, free up the pistons. What a job! And he had a crack at bleeding it there and then, but that's when he realised that the master cylinder was shot. So I took this master cylinder over on the second trip. The banjo bolts, they're not called banjo bolts, but the actual the Bundy pipe bolts that attach it to the brake master cylinder and the calipers, they were all rounded off and sort of frozen in position. So we had to cut the lines, get the vice grips onto these bolts, get them out, and flare some new lines. But Stuart had a little issue. The flaring tool that he had was, I don't know if it was, not good enough, or apparently it was crap according to him. and a few extra dollars he bought a much better one later. So, and I had a permit from Vic Roads to be able to drive it, but because of the rain, and it was a nightmare. We were trying to get it some brakes, but this flaring tool sort of split the lines just at where the bolts attach. Now we thought, you know, that might seal, but it never sealed, and so we couldn't get a brake pedal. So, and all of the time we were trying to load it onto the trailer to trailer it up to Devonport to get it on the boat. And I phoned the ferry and I said, look, I've got a car, it doesn't have brakes, can you help me, can you fork it on for me or something like that? No, if you can't stop that car, you're not bringing it anywhere near our boat. So that was the second attempt. You know, all the time the money's sort of getting burnt up. And so I thought, fuck it. Last attempt, third attempt, this weekend, I hired a trailer, took my ute over, and I went to Stu's place and picked it up, and it's back here now. Now the car cost 48 grand. You know, if I'd really pushed the issue, I'm pretty sure I could have got it for 45, but he was pretty certain that he could sell it for 48, so I didn't want to take the chance and miss out on it. I've been looking for months. You know, there were some crazy prices out there for real shit boxes. Undrivable, and full of rust, you know, like just rotten to the core. And, you know, some were just, they had all of the important coupe parts, like, you know, the important stuff that you can't get. And half of the stuff was missing, you know, or half of the normal stuff was missing. You know, I didn't want to have to buy a car where I've got to go shopping, you know, and buy parts. The beautiful thing with this car, it's 100% complete. It's got everything. And it runs, it drives, as you see. So 48 grand, I thought, nah, I'm not going to jeopardise the purchase. So, we've got the car back here in Langwarrin, a month after I purchased it. And as you can see, it does beautiful circle work. So, yeah, I'm going to take you on a bit of a tour. I am not going to touch this car until the Fairlane's finished, the ZS finished. You know, I've probably got about another 6 months on that. So I'm going to lock this one up and keep it safe. So this video number 1 will sit out there in the ether for a number of months until we start working on it. Because if I start working on that and I haven't finished the Fairlane, I know myself. I need to finish that Fairlane. It's so close now, and yeah, I owe it to that car. That car's going to be beautiful. So yeah, so this video number 1 is going to be the, you know, sitting there for a while on YouTube without any follow-ups. But stick with us. Oh, the other things too. This car, okay, it's Mad Max Black at the moment. It's T. Okay, the paint code is T, which is lime glaze, and where that looks like it's just matte black rattle cans. Everywhere where that's peeling off, you've got this beautiful lime glaze underneath it. It's just stunning. So, of course, this car is going to be lime glaze. You know, really, really clean restorations, beautiful looking coupes. They're going for 130, and you know, without a doubt, they're going for 130. So if I throw 100k at it, it's cost me 48 plus probably 5 grand trying to get it over here. So anything between 130 and 150, that'd be great. I don't really want to throw 100k at it. We'll discuss what I propose. And we'll see how we go. Alright, so let's take a look. Right, so we will start with the bonnet in general, the top side. We've got a nice rust hole through there. Got a bit of dentage there and some filler by the looks of things, and got a dent there. Burn mark. The bonnet itself is sitting high at the hinge.
More rust over here. There's a fair bit of fair bit of movement in the pins, which we'll have to look at. The actual engine bay is really, really good. There's no signs of impact damage or twisting, bent, buckled steel at all. All of the seams look great in and around there. The plenum up there, surprisingly very little rust. There's absolutely nothing there. There's no rust. I will have to check the air intakes at the at the vents, but I'll check them from inside. But there's no rust at all on that plenum, which is fantastic news. Over the back here, same story. There's no signs of any twisted bent steel whatsoever. Now you might see a little bit of rusty water. That was from this thermostat housing. We put a new one on. Well, Stu put it on. Well, I put it on, but I didn't have any gasket sealant, and it did leak out of there, so that's where that rusty water came from. But I put a new top and bottom hose on just to be able to drive it. Missing a bolt there on that shroud. 2 bolts actually, but there's no brakes. It's not broken, which is good. Yeah, it's surprising. Now this carburetor is the Carter AFB. Apparently they were standard on the Clevos on this car. They, yeah, I don't know. I don't know anything about them actually. There's no air filter. So the paint code is T, which is the lime glaze. It was manufactured in on the 8th month, which is August. It was manufactured on August 1972. Painter's T. What's that? What does that say? Trim. Trim is P, so I think that's parchment. Engine Y. Yeah, I don't really know much about this, the stamps on these things. Now this engine has come out of the 1980s Fairlane, I think. It's not the original motor. But as Stuart said, it's amazing. This motor doesn't lose all water, and it doesn't lose oil. So, and I think it blows a little bit of smoke. Well, you guys will see the video. I don't know if it blows smoke or not. Yeah, the horns are all standard and genuine. Yeah, so it's a pretty stock standard engine bay. Onto the front grille. We're missing some fasteners down there on each side by the looks of things. So it's a little bit loose. There's one crack in the grille down there right at the bottom. The Fairmont badge looks a bit how's your father? Something going on with that. But yeah, that'll clean up okay. The bumper's fine, there's no dents in the bumper. This little scuttle tray underneath, it's got a few dents in it, down there low. Onto the front guard. This looks like it's a different colour, it looks like gold. There's no rust in that guard at all. On this trim, we're poking up there at the corner for some reason. This sunroof is gonna go. It's rusty as hell anyway. It's no good. But the problem is they flatten the roof out, you see. So the roof's been flattened out. When they put these bloody things in, they just bolt them up and they flatten the roof. So I'm going to have to get some templates of an original roof without a sunroof, and make some ribs up, screw up underneath into the ribs, screw the steel to the ribs. I'll make the ribs out of plywood, and that'll correct the roof line, and then I can patch, make up a patch. This gutter is looking really, really good. Got a little bit of rust in there, but all the way around there, up to the leading there, doesn't seem to be any rust in that section there, but there's probably filler in there as well. But yeah, but the gutter looks good. Onto this door. Got a bit of a dent there. Hole down there. Got rust. And on the sill, yes, we've got some nice rust on that sill. Down low. That gap's almost a centimetre at that point there, so we're going to have to look at that. Don't know what's happened. Whether it's an adjustment thing or, yeah, I'm not too sure. And onto that torque box, that's brilliant. There's no rust in that. No rust in that section there. But down here we've got a nice lovely rust hole, and we can actually see the ground. But up in here we're looking great. No rust in there. Just wind this window down. So we need a whole rubber kit for this. All the rubbers are dead and gone. That's actually a ute door panel. That's not the genuine door panel. The rear quarter, got a shit ton of bog in there and rust and whatnot, so we don't know what's going on. We'll have to have a big gouge session, gouge it all out. Fair bit of dentage in that section there. A lot of dents and disfiguration in there and under there. Got about 2.5–3 mil of bog there. Around the back window, she looks great. No rust in there. The trim has been taken off. Well, we'll inspect it when I open the boot, but the trim's in the boot, but it looked like it had been mangalised a little bit. Okay, around this rear valance, got a bit of nasty rust in there, but looks of things underneath filler. Oh, that honeycomb thing's missing. You can see the holes for it, but you know, the honeycomb thing that goes across the back, that's missing. You can see there's rust and filler in there, so that's all going to have to come out. On that back skirt, yeah, not too bad at all actually. It's looking pretty straight. Onto the bad side, the dark side. So we've got a GS/GT type petrol filler with an aftermarket cap. When Trev was 16, apparently, he dug all that lead out. And that's tragic. But it was rusty underneath, so it had to come out anyway. But yeah, so I don't know how to look at that. I'll look at that when I get all of the paint and bog off, and we'll see what we're left with. We've got a dent in here, and we've got some crackage in our bog up here. Now I don't know how that happened, but yeah, Well, I'll have to have a look at that. So we've got a little dent there, and looks like we've got a fair bit of bog in there, so that'll all come out. We'll have to dolly that up. Got a rust hole in there, just on that edge there. But the sills, they look okay. Got another dent here. This is on this quarter, this is going to require a fair bit of work. This section here has been stoved in, and it's stoved in there as well. Now I'm going to, for this restoration, I'm going to focus on minimal bog. Down here on this quarter, she's pretty nasty. And you know, there's dents all through there, you can see it. Yeah, so I'm going to focus on minimal bog. So I'm going to buy a pot rivet. Yeah, I think it's called a pot rivet puller. So it welds like a rivet head, rivet shaft onto the steel, and you've got a slide hammer, and you pull all your lows out. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use that. I'll probably go through thousands of those bloody rivet things, but that doesn't matter. I want to pull all of the lows out and work on dollying these panels straight by hand rather than just slapping bog over it. 12 slotters are really cool. I love them, but they need a re-chrome. Can't really see up under those guards until we get it onto the rotisserie, but yeah, looks a bit gnarly in there. We're missing some steel. Thing's so bloody low. Now this gap is really good. It's nice and, well, it's reasonably straight. We'll definitely be able to adjust that out easily. This bottom sill, once again, is full of rust and bog. Same story on that side. Another rust hole right in that same spot. It's not a problem, that's easy to fix. But the torque box is looking fantastic. Yeah, there's no real major rust in there, which is great. We'll know more once we take the front guards off. Oops, pretty sure that's not supposed to happen. That's just separated off there. Yeah, probably need to replace the rubber in that. Rubber, which has turned to some form of liquid. This door, it mirrors at one point. Nice big dent in there. Got an alignment issue there, so that door's sitting, it looks like it's sitting pretty high up there, but maybe that guard's sitting too high. That's all adjustment stuff anyway, we get that. Yeah, and this doesn't even look like a genuine front guard as well, so maybe they've treated themselves to a pair of front guards at some point. Into the boot. Take that off. See what we've got. So it's not really any worse than the Fairlane actually. We've got a bit of holiness in there. Or as my dear friend Pete would say, there's activity there. That's looking a bit sad. Nothing up in there, which is really, really cool. I'm really happy about that. There's no rust whatsoever in there. A little bit of surface rust on that corner there. But yeah, it's just the channel that's really copped it. Which is all fixable. And that's the worst spot there. Yeah, she's wafer thin there. But same story on this side. There's no rust in this section here, which is really, really cool. Happy to see that. I don't know what it's like underneath the seal, but we'll deal with that shortly. Now, so that's the boot rubber. Let's empty this boot out and have a look at parchment. Looks like a part of the sort of internal trim. It'll be ute specific. Sorry, coupe specific, which is great to have. And we've got another one up there in the back. Now we've got this dash insert, or this dash around. It's got a wiper switch, the light switch. It's missing the dimmer, or the dashboard light switch, but it's got a clock. That's very cool. And it's complete. So that's really cool. It's got a spare vent there, and there's no cracks in it. It's looking great. So that's the sparey. So this is the rear window trim. It goes this way. One overlaps the other, I think, by memory, or there could be, yep, one overlaps the other. Yeah, just like that. Now, these are always hard to take off, so I notice he's got some screwdriver marks in there from underneath, which are easy to tap down. Or tap them out easy and fix them up, sand them off. And there's a bit of carnage here. So what's happened here, this is really easy to do. It's been damaged. He's tried prying it, and he's tried prying it from the back here, and he's actually separated the profile, the top profile, from the bottom. So that'll all need to be repaired. Not a hard repair. And to sand, you tap those high points down and sand them with 1000 grit, and then 2000, and then you polish them out. But that'll repair nicely. The underneath section, sorry, yeah, this is the bottom section. Same story, a little bit of dentage here and there, but they're not too bad actually. These 4 pieces of stainless, even to buy in that condition, you're looking at a couple of grand. So these are the original door cards. Parchment with black carpet. It's passenger side. And that's the driver's side rear. Passenger side rear. And that's the driver's side there. Oh, it's got the hole for the mirror top. Got the original mirror. 4 parchment. I hope they clean up. I'd love to do it back in parchment. They should clean up. I don't like painting plastic, so. Those are the rear armrests. Couple of bits of windlace. So we've got, looks like we've got 2 sets of gutter mould. Looking pretty sad. Need to do some work on those, by crikey. It's the original jack bag, the bag for the jack. Ah, this looks like a parcel shelf. I don't know what that's for.
one sun visor. So that's the other side. So it's even got a 12 slotter as a spare. That's generous of them. But look at that, there's absolutely no rust whatsoever. No rust in there at all. No rust down in there. Oh, that's amazing. That whole inner panel, that's solid. Jesus. And it's pretty solid through there too. Now we're missing all of our bolts around our fuel tank. So this tank must have been out at some point. Yes, all of the bolts are missing. But look at that. I've never seen a coupe without rust. That's just amazing. Yeah, we've got rust in here on this rear section here. But in and around the tail lights, jeez, that's brilliant. That is brilliant. Okay, got a bit of cancer happening in there. Well, not so much cancer, but it's certainly that deadener is starting to laminate. But this is actually much better than the ZF. This is far superior. My God. Now the only reason why there's moisture in here is because the car's been sitting out at Stuart's place in the rain for a month. How are we looking down there? Oh God. Same story. That whole panel, that inner panel, solid. A little bit of, that's just, my God. That's been dented too. I reckon they've smacked up these inside guards to fit some bigger wheels or bigger tyres. I don't know what they've done. But look at that. Just a little bit of rust along that bottom there. That is amazing. How are we up under here? Yep. Jesus. Up under here. Bloody hell, there's no bog, there's no rust. Woohoo! So this is a good car. I can't believe it. I knew it was good. I knew it was good in the boot, but I didn't realise it was that good. Now this parcel shelf, you can see there's been a grinder or a cut-off wheel put through the steel. I have to straighten them. They're twisted and they're bent. So somebody's butchered them to get some speakers in there or something. So into the back seat. The hood lining is hanging down, which has been a constant pain in the butt for me. It's done in blue or black Draylon. Back in the day, Draylon. That is a fabric that used to be used on 1980s style lounge suites. Most people called it velvet, but it's called Draylon. So it's got different, I don't know what those carpets are for then. Yeah. So the back seat's complete. All the windows go up and down. That sunroof. That's a dog. It's going. Missing the interior light.
better than the average. If there's a plastic cover that's supposed to go over those, I can't remember. So this dashboard doesn't have the clock in it. It's got the ashtray, it doesn't have a vent there, but that's for the air conditioning versions of this car. It's only got two vents, one on the passenger side and one over on the driver's side. In fact, I think I've got a vent. I've got a vent floating around somewhere that I could use for that. It's got the GT dash. T-bar auto, center console, sure. It's loose. What have we got in here? Oh, another light switch, and that one actually looks pretty good. Still got all this sort of silver on it. Fairmont badge. It's probably with the door trims. I wonder if the door trims had a Fairmont badge on them. Oh, what a car. And the dash is just really cool. We've got one split in behind here. Just there. Normally these things are completely shot. I mean, that I can fix. I don't want to upholster this. I want to keep it, you know, genuine. But that split, that'll be easy to fix with a little bit of 2-pack epoxy. Fix that split, sand it off, and we can respray this whole dash. Well, the steering wheel. Oh, the back is broken off it. Yeah, I've got a spare back as well. I thought I was getting hooked on something. And the front's looking a bit crabby too. Handbrake, there is no brake cable, but looks like it's functioning pretty well. The wheel is still intact down the bottom there. And a little nylon wheel. It doesn't look like it's but there's no rust in there at all. That's all original paint. No rust whatsoever. Those floor pans are mint. Back floors, same story, no rust. All original paint. No rust. That's awesome. Driver's floor, same story, rust free. But that water, ignore that water, because that water, once I put this car into storage, that'll all dry out. That's only because it's been sitting out for a month in the rain. No rattles, no knocks, no ticking.